Sheriff Veronica, and I was in a chat with women who have daughters, and there was a photo of a young child, probably 3 years old, scantily dressed, and she was kind of thick. The little girl was kind of thick. And someone in the chat was saying that she would attract pedophiles, and the mom should not dress the little girl like that and bring the little girl out into public, out on the street. Now, I watched the chat. I did not comment, but I watched it, and there were women in there that were saying, well, when I was a child, I used to dress like that, meaning their mom used to dress them scantily and had them out in public. And they have daughters that they allow to dress scantily and go out in public. There's no winning. You cannot win in these type of discussions. You just cannot win. So sometimes it's just best to sit back and watch, because you can't argue that the little girl's innocence should be taken away from her because of bad men. We know that men like kids and they like young girls. We do know that. But you cannot suck the innocence from a child because of bad men. That's one point. But then on the other side of it, you should not have your kids on exhibition for these bad men. So where do you go with these discussions? Where do you go if you argue that you should not dress your child like a little ghetto rat? If you argue that point, then you are going to be bombarded with other people coming at you saying it's all in your mind. It's you are creating something. If you're keeping your eye on your child, there should be no problem. And whatever argument they have, they're going to bombard you with. Okay? And then there's this other argument. If someone says, well, they have no problem dressing their kids like that, then you can bombard them with the argument, what about the pedophiles? What about the people who are in the shadows looking and imagining, and if one split second they can take your child, and you can bombard them with the negativity. That's how they're going to look at it. It's negative. So there's no winning. There's no winning in any kind of these situations. There's no winning, because you want kids to feel innocent. You want them to run around without fear. You want them, if some kids come in and they have a sense of style, they have a sense of style. You want them to have that. You want them to have it. Then on the other end, you want to stifle the pedophiles. You don't want them to give them too much. You don't want them to have too much too easily. You want to suffocate them. And we really can't. So it's an argument you cannot win. But I felt to say on my chat, I know how to stay in my lane, okay? I stay in my lane. I felt that I should bring it to my chat and talk about it. And for me, I would be more modest in the way I dressed my daughter. I'm constantly thinking of maybe her getting hurt or molested or whatever, so I will be very careful with the way I present her into a public setting. Not that pedophiles like young babies, pedophile just like young kids. So it's not a matter of dressing, but for me, I would watch the way I have my daughter dressed. And that little girl, I said, was thick, and she was dressed, her stomach was out, her legs were out, and she was dressed like a grown woman. I would not dress my daughter like that, but that's just me. And like I said, I stay in my lane, and we all have to do what is comfortable to us. We all have to proceed in that manner. So like you cannot argue with gutter rats. You cannot argue with people who are very negative. You cannot argue with people who have a lot of fears. You cannot argue with people like me who could be very protective. So there's no argument. But suffice to say that bringing kids into the ghetto to ghetto parents is probably the biggest crime in the world. Okay? Bringing kids to parents who don't have a mind. They probably don't even have a soul, if there's such a thing. They're not thinking. They just are ghetto. They have no class. No nothing. They just repeat what they've seen. They're just product of their environment, of their neighborhoods. That's all. And they repeat. They are on repeat, a repeat cycle. Now that's even worse than the pedophiles watching out for young babies to snatch when the parent is not looking. What's even worse are the parents who bring kids into this world and they're really not ready. They're not ready to raise a child. They're not ready to raise a woman. They're not ready. Okay? So when your kids grow up and they become like a Natalie, when they become like something that you're not proud of, or when they grow up to be just like you, I mean, there's no argument. They come out the way they were destined to come out because they came through you. They came through you, and you had no clue. You have no clue how to raise a human being. You have no clue. You do not even know what it is to be sensitive to what's happening around you. You just don't care. You just don't care. So I just want to put that on video, that there are pedophiles out there, and it's a balance. You want to have your kids feel secure. You want them to play. You want them to enjoy their innocent years. Yeah, but to have them half naked out on the streets and then come on Facebook and try to argue a point. Just stay in your lane and do your best. You'd have to personally, if you don't agree with what you're seeing, just do your best to be protective of your clan, and hopefully, knock on wood, it'll all work out. This is Sherry Veronica.